name is Father Edmund Donnelly from the Father and the Donnelly Good News Fund. And we'd have to say Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And wherever you are my guest tonight. So I feel very lonely tonight. I don't have my co-host. So I have to have you as my co-host. So we'd like to have you call us at that telephone number you see right now, 860-321-7408. So whatever you ask, I'd like to ask, Father, but never had an opportunity to ask. Here's your opportunity to ask me a question. Something you always want to ask, Father, but we're afraid to ask. It could be a spiritual question. It could be a financial question. It could be a personal question. It could be a psychological question. Or it could just be any question. So we'd love to hear from you. Probably we're live right now. Now we've had some problems, some technical problems in the past. We may still have it because we had a problem with Comcast taking our signal and going out. But the studio here is fine. So if you find some problem, don't worry about it. It's not our fault. It's their fault. So how was your Christmas, by the way? How was your New Year's? What did you do for Christmas? What did you do for New Year's? If you're like me, I went to bed early. But how about you? How did you spend your Christmas? And how did you spend your New Year's? That's my question to you. And if you had a question for me, give me a call. One of the things that I did during the Christmas season, one of the things I did during the Christmas season was give everybody a Christmas present. So anybody in the church who called up, to you, my gift to you is whatever you ask of me. To you, my gift to you is whatever you ask of me. So I give out these gift certificates, these red ones, to people. And it's amazing what they did when they went back or gave me my gift certificate. So I put my name, Father Edmund Donnelly, immediately. So my gift to you is what you ask of me, and then I ask and I sign it. So it's a blank check. So I'll give that to you tonight. My gift to you is what you ask of me. Now we'll take our first call. You're on the air, Father Ed.
Hi, Father Ed. This is Victoria. I'm calling to thank you for your kind Christmas gift of an American Girl doll that you and the unnamed little girl kindly gave to me at Sunday Mass. You are the best father ever.
Don't hang up, Victoria. Don't hang up. Now, what name did you give the doll?
Julie.
Julie? Now, why'd you call her Julie?
I don't know, and I called her Edmundo at the end.
Edmundo at the end. Father after me. So Julie Edmundo. That's beautiful. Now, how about the other dresses? Did you like the other dresses?
Yep.
What color dresses did you have? You had a purple one, I think, on.
Yep.
What are the other colors? Did you notice yet?
No.
No? Okay. Well, you're happy with it. Good. Well, I look forward to seeing you in church, Victoria. Thank you very much for calling.
You're welcome. God bless you.
Thank you, and Happy New Year to you, too. And that's my favorite friend. She's 8 years old, and she wrote this to me. I'll paraphrase it. This was a gift certificate that I gave out, and she said, Father, please live forever so that you could teach my children. And by the way, could I have an American girl? And I was able to get that. I realized how difficult it would be to get one, but God was good. A young lady from the parish, I was speaking about it before Mass, at one of the Masses, and one of the girls, one of the women out here, that girl said, my daughter's got one, and she'd like to give it to Victoria. She didn't know who Victoria was at the time. So my gift to you is what you ask of me, and that's what Victoria did. She asked for an American girl, and she got one for Christmas. There are a lot of other things that people ask, and what did you want for Christmas, and did you get it, or would you like to get it? One person wrote in, and please help my mother stop drinking so that she could take care of the 3 children she had. Another one wrote, please pray for my brother-in-law Paul, who's having a cancer operation. Another wrote in and said, please pray for my husband that the cancer will be in remission. Someone else wrote in and said, please pray that my husband will leave the house so my children could be at peace and I also could be at peace. So there's all kinds of different requests. Please pray for me that I could become a deacon. There's another, just some of the requests that people wrote in for. So I gave this card to you. My gift to you is what you ask of me, and it's a gift certificate. So if you can, if you have a gift that you would like to have, we're still in the Christmas season. Now, my custom is whenever we have the 12 days of Christmas, now Christmas starts on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and then the Feast of the Holy Family, that's the first Sunday. Then the second Sunday is the Feast of the Three Kings. And the third Sunday is the Feast of the Baptism of Jesus. So that's how long Christmas goes. Most people say, thank God, it's all over. Christmas is over on Christmas Day. No, it just begins. But for some reason, people have a very materialistic attitude towards Christmas. But the Christmas season liturgically goes for 3 Sundays. After Christmas Day, the Feast of the Holy Family, the Feast of the Three Kings, and the Feast of the Baptism of Jesus. Now you saw this picture, maybe you get another shot of it, of a picture of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Many years ago, I went on a sick call to Zurich, Switzerland. And there was a woman who was very sick. It was a good friend of mine. So when I went to Zurich on a sick call, sometimes I go along sick calls. But after that, I had some time, so I went to the Black Forest, and I brought this hand-wooden creche of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. And I've had this for about 30 years. And it's a reminder of what Christmas is all about. It's all about Jesus. It's all about Mary. It's all about Joseph. And it's really all about you. So when I'm asking you, what did you want for Christmas? And I'm giving a gift to you. Whatever you ask of me, I will give to you. So give us a call and let me know. Other request that I had was please pray for my jobs. Another person wrote, please pray that I don't lose my house. Someone else said, please pray that I don't lose my job. Someone else wrote in, please pray for my son who's in Afghanistan. And I went on and went on. How about you? My gift to you is what you asked of me. Or what's your question for me? You're on the air, Father Ed.
Hello, Father.
Hello there. Could you talk up a little more loudly, Teresa?
Hello, Father.
How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And what's your question for me?
Can you explain a little bit about the new, is it the sacramentary that's going to be issued by the bishop next Advent?
Right. Well, what it is basically a change. In fact, I should give you the changes in the English language. There were not going to be essential changes, but next time I come, that's a good point. I should have brought the comparison of the old creed, the prayer of the Gloria and today's Gloria, and next year's Gloria, or this year's Gloria in Advent. Then also the creed that we believe in, we believe one God. That's going to be essentially not changed. Just the words are going to change, but the thoughts and the basic dogma isn't being changed.
But is the form of the Mass going to change? Are you going to be facing a different way or do different things?
No, it'll be the same. The Mass won't be changed at all. What would change is some words, that's all. Like saying, the Lord be with you, that may be say, the Spirit be with you, or something like that. I don't have the script right in front of me, but the essence of the Mass won't change. No, it couldn't change. We'll still have the liturgy of the Word, we'll still have the Eucharistic prayer, we'll still have the communion, the banquet. No, that won't change. Just some words. So that's not an essential change. And for many people, it won't be noticeable unless you go to church all the time. If you go to church, you'll see the difference in the language. But on the whole, if you haven't gone to church, you'll see that things haven't changed. Okay, but remind me to bring the script next time I come, and I'll show the difference. The Gloria, the Creed, the Lamb of God. Okay, if you could do that, all right?
Okay, thanks very much, Father.
Get back to work.
I will.
Take care. Bye-bye. Okay, that was Teresa. She's making the bulletin right now at Sacred Heart Church, and she called in because there are going to be some changes in the language, not in the essence of the Mass. That couldn't change. You have the liturgy of word, but in the Gloria or the reconciliation, the rite of reconciliation, those words may change, but the ideas will still be the same. Okay, if you just tuned in, my name is Father Ed Nadali, and I'm from the Father Nadali Good News Fund, and we're asking you to give us a call. I want to give you, my question is, my gift to you is what you're asking me. So my question to you is, what is your question for me, or what do you want for Christmas? Give me a call, okay? Now, other people that wrote in for me, one of the things that we find, a lot of people are ill. And now we have a sandwich mother, one who takes care of her grandchildren and one who takes care of her mother. So the mother and one mother would be both of take a caregiver of her mother and also for her grandchildren. And let's go to the next one. You're on the air, Father Ed.
Yes, Father Ed. Good evening. How are you tonight?
Now that you called, I feel much better.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Where are you calling from?
I have a question for you about deacons. Deacons can be very expressive.
Deacons can be married, yes. I have a young man in our parish right now who's studying to be a deacon, and he's married. In fact, he's a grandfather.
Oh my goodness, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Grandparents are wonderful.
Yeah, I heard there's a new grandparent that's off of Patrick Street there in Berlin or Kensington. Is that true?
Absolutely.
Oh,
absolutely.
Good.
But I have a question for you now, Father.
Yeah.
And a deacon wants to become a priest. A deacon, can he become a priest to be married? Or no?
No. The only way he could become a priest if his wife passes away, then he could become a priest. But there are some ministers. We had one fellow just ordained. He's 72 years old. He's a grandfather, but his wife already passed away, so he became. But then there's a Baptist minister who became a Catholic priest, and he came in with his wife. Among the Protestant ministers who become Catholic priests, they do come in with their wives. Right now, a great number of Anglican bishops and priests are coming into the Catholic Church, and they're coming in with their wives. And that's why it doesn't seem to be fair. Today I just had a funeral for one of my classmates, Father Clarkin, and some of his classmates came, and they were priests at one time, and now they've been married for 20, 25 years. So in one sense, the Church says, yes, the Protestant ministers can come in and become Catholic priests with their wives, but then we have Catholic priests who would like to be married and can. In the old days, for the first 900 years or 1100 years, priests couldn't get married. But the real change around the 10th, 11th century, where they cut out the priests getting married. But unfortunately, there was a lot of lack of education at that time, so a lot of the priests were uneducated, and there were a lot of problems when you have an uneducated priesthood. So instead of getting rid of the water, they threw the baby out with the water. Instead of cleaning up the priesthood, they cleaned up the married priesthood. They kicked out the priesthood with the corruption at that time. But to answer your question, deacons could become priests if their wives are not alive. Now don't go out and start shooting wives so that husbands could become priests. Okay, good.
One more quick question.
Yes.
If a priest retires, which I hope he, doesn't, are they obligated to say a mass every day?
No, I'm not obligated to say mass. I'm only obligated to go to mass on Sunday. I don't have an obligation to say mass every day. No, I don't. Retired or not retired. If I want,
question for my mother-in-law.
Well, your mother-in-law says that, she's right, I don't have to say Mass, but saying Mass is the greatest privilege a man can have. Like on Sundays, I'll say 4 Masses. And to me, there's no greater privilege than being able to offer the sacrifice of the Mass. But do I have to say Mass? No, I don't. Do I want to say Mass? Of course I do.
But there's no greater privilege for us to come to a massacre.
You're right. I have to come to Mass, please. Well, thanks for calling, Sandy. I love you.
I love you too.
Take care. Bye-bye. That's Sandy Crow, who's one of our ministers of the Eucharist. And we also had Teresa, who does our bulletin, and my favorite parishioner, Victoria, who's 8 years old. She called in. So we have Sacred Heart calling in. How about somebody that's not from the Sacred Heart? If you just are listening, give us a call at 860-321-7408. And my gift to you is what you ask of me. So give me a call if you have. What did you get for Christmas? The young lady just had a new grandchild for Christmas. What did you get for Christmas? And what would you like for Christmas? And now we're going into New Year's. Now my second question is, what's your New Year's resolution? Have you got a New Year's resolution? What is that New Year's resolution? I bet you don't remember last year's New Year's resolution. Do you remember last year's resolution? If there's anybody out there who remembers, without making it up, if you remember last year's resolution, give me a call at this number that you see, and I'll send you a gift certificate, one of my gift certificates to fill out. All right? So give me a call if you remember. Well, one of the things that I think we could always remember, you know, when you go to Mass, when you're saying right before the Gospel, what does the priest do? He says, may the Word of God be on your mind, on your lips, and in your heart. He's saying that, may the Word of God be on your mind, your lips, and in your heart. And I think that would be a wonderful New Year's resolution. You have about 60,000 thoughts that you have a day. Right now you're thinking about a million things. You're thinking about breakfast tomorrow, you're thinking about doing the dishes, you're thinking about watching television, you're thinking about doing your shoes, you're reading the paper, you got some ideas, and you've got at least 60,000 thoughts a day. Now what do you do with that? What do you do with those thoughts? You can have bad thoughts that lead to bad feelings and bad actions. Or you can have good thoughts that lead to good feelings and good actions. So my question to you is, if you want a good New Year's resolution, don't worry about losing weight or giving up smoking or stop drinking or whatever it may be, but concentrate on what you think about and decide what you're going to think about and zero in on it. And those thoughts will beget feelings, and those feelings will beget good action. So think about, what do you think about most of all during the day? Think about all the things that you think about, and what good thoughts lead to good feelings that lead to good action. And I gave the example in church one day that I was going in the car, and I was going up Cottage Street, and then turning a boom, and I forgot to bring the Eucharist, Holy Communion, and it pictures a container of the Eucharist. And I think I have one here. I don't knock out the microphone. Make sure I don't knock out the microphone. This is called the pyx. And inside the pyx, you place the Blessed Sacrament when you're going on a sick call. And I forgot the pyx. And I ended up, the thought came to me, oh, how about the pyx and the Eucharist? So from that, I turned around and went back to the house, and I got the pyx where Christ was, and I brought to somebody. Now the thought of going back and getting the Eucharist and the feeling, the great feeling that came, begot a good action. So when you're talking about a New Year's resolution, I think a great New Year's resolution would be to turn around and zero on the thoughts that you have. You can have bad thoughts that lead to bad feelings and bad action. And you get that on the newspaper all the time. Just pick up the paper any day, and you'll see that. So the negativity you see every day on radio and television. Okay, we have another call. Call us at 860. No, where am I? Yeah, 321-7408. I was giving you my cell number. Okay, let's see. You're on the air, Father Ed.
Good evening, Father Ed. It's Grace.
Grace. Okay, great.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Father, my question, can you please comment on the idea that our decisions or our judgments are influenced by who or what we worship? Can you comment on that, please?
Our judgments are what we worship. Say that again.
That our decisions or our judgments are influenced by who or what we worship.
Oh, no question. Your thinking and your judgments and your decisions are influenced by what you worship. Now, if you worship money, all your thoughts would be about making money, and that you'll concentrate on making money. If your thoughts are sports, then you concentrate on sports, and that's all you do is talk about sports. And that, if you worship sports, that influences your decisions and your actions. If you worship money, that influences your decisions and your actions. If you worship God, that influences your decisions and your actions and your behavior. Yeah, what we worship is is the basic reason, cause for our behavior. And if I worship myself, me, myself, and I, all my concern would be about myself. If I worship myself, and my whole world revolves around me, then if I am my own God, if I'm worshiping myself, then all my behavior, actions, and thinking are influenced by that type of attitude. Yes, we all worship, even an atheist worships somebody. He worships no God, but he does have a substitute for the true God, whether it's materialism, secularism, whether it's his ego, whether it's pride, or whatever sin it may be. It may be an addiction. If I worship alcohol, then my whole behavior is that way. One of the people that called in or wrote in to me for my gift to you is what you were asking me, was to pray that my husband will stop drinking and be a father to his children. Or the lady that called, some people worship food. I'm addicted to chocolate, but luckily it doesn't control me. But one lady wrote in and said, pray so that I could lose some weight, so that I could control my diabetes and my high blood pressure. So sometimes we worship food. Some people live to eat, and some people eat to live. So food can be our worship. Alcohol, drugs. Every time you pick up a paper, their whole life is centered around drugs, and then they worship drugs, and the behavior is the same as an effect of what you worship. Yeah, what you worship tells you who you are. What you worship does influence your thinking and your behavior. So some people worship shopping, and you wouldn't understand that. But some people just love to shop, and sometimes but then they realize it is foolish, so they can control it. But does that help answer your question? Good.
Yes, it does.
Thanks for calling.
Well, thank you, Father.
Good night. All right, what about you? Have you got a question? And what do you worship? That's a good question. What do you worship? What do you worship most of all? And what's most important in your life? Some people have their family as what they worship most of all. Of all the things in their life, the family is the center of everything, and nothing else matters. And that could be very good, but it also could be very disturbing, because they can turn around and have their family so centered that they forget about everyone else. And that's when you become very parochial. All you think about is your family. You don't think about God's family. You don't think about the world. And sometimes the family could be your source of worship. You'll do everything for the family, but nothing for anyone else. I'll give you an example. Lillian, the Moy, just passed away, and she left a portion of her estate to the church. And people say, oh, no, you got to leave everything for your family. So the kids can go to Florida, buy a big car, a big boat, and blow the money somewhere else. But she felt differently. She felt that her family with Sacred Heart was her family too. And this family fed her for over 94 years, spiritually. She came to church every day, received Holy Communion, went to confession, participated in the liturgy, participated in church. And she saw that her family, her biological family was wonderful, but her spiritual family also was part of her family. And sometimes we forget that the church is not a building, but the church is actually God's family also. Okay, let's take a call. You're on the air, Father Ed.
Hi, Father. This is your absentee co-host, Margaret, calling from Texas.
Oh, wow, we really go pretty far. I didn't realize we go that far.
Yeah.
And we all missed you. They were to cancel the show because you weren't here. Bill Dobbs has had a sign for cancel the show. Cancel the show. Margaret isn't here. But he was overruled. But how are you doing out in Texas?
Oh, just fine, thanks. How are you doing over there in Farmington?
We're all in a state of depression since you left. So I'm wearing black.
I missed you too.
I'm wearing black right now and mourning.
Oh, okay.
So, okay, if you got a question for me, don't make it too hard, because I don't have anybody to help me with the answer.
It sounds like you've been busy. I've been calling and the line's been busy.
We're trying to impress you, that's all. We only have one line working. Remember last time we had a little problem? So we're trying to do something else with this phone. Well, what's your question?
Well, have you talked about this past Monday's Mass yet?
No, I haven't.
About the Epiphany?
No, that's good.
How those of us who, I went to Mass yesterday, but for those who didn't, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Epiphany and what it's all about?
Sure. The Epiphany means a revelation, a manifestation, appearance. And the point of Epiphany was the three kings of Casper, Melchior, and Balthazar. They came and they came to do homage to Christ. And the whole point of the story is not whether it's historical or not, but the whole point of the story is that Jesus came not just for the Jews, but for non-Jews, for all the Gentiles also. And these three kings, they represented the non-Jewish nation and people and the population. So that was the first thing. The second thing was the three gifts. Now let's see if you really went to church Sunday, what were the three gifts that they brought? So I'm reversing it, and I'm going after you. What are the three gifts that they brought to Jesus?
Yeah, both frankincense and myrrh, but I was going to say, I'm working my first to you the question.
Okay, gold.
Both frankincense and myrrh.
Okay, and that's important.
And
that tells you something.
They were very appropriate, weren't they?
Yeah, because
the three kings knew what they were doing, and they were intelligent men, weren't they?
Yeah, okay. Well, now, whose show is this? Yours or mine now? The gifts you receive tell you something about you. Like, I received a beautiful, beautiful chalice and a paten. And that told me something about me, that I was a priest. And that was the most precious gift that I've ever gotten, because it really identified who I was, that I'm a priest. And that chalice and the paten really summarized who I was, a priest in the service of God. So that's a concrete example of when you get a gift, if the person really thinks about the gift, and not just goes out and gets a sale at Talbot's or Macy's or Nordstrom's, or you don't go to those places, so you wouldn't know what I'm talking about.
No, but, I know, you're right.
So if you, the gift you receive, if it's a sincere gift, it tells you something about you. So I used the example of a cup and the chalice rather, and the paten. But and the gifts that Jesus received also tells us about him. Now the first, the gold tells us that he's king, and the frankincense, which is the incense, tells us of his divinity, and the myrrh tells us of his humanity and his mortality, that Jesus was king of kings, Lord of lords, and he was human, and who died on the cross. So those three gifts tell us all about Jesus. And if you want a nice summation of who Jesus is, he is our King, he is divine, and he's also human. He's got one person and two natures, a divine nature and a human nature. So, and then the other thing I talked about, which I thought was pretty good, that each one, we're called to bring our own gold, incense, and myrrh. The gold of love, and then the incense of adoration, and then the myrrh of humility. And Jesus took out a great sense of humility on when he was born to God becoming human, and then giving himself on the cross. So I think those are three gifts, and I think, Margaret, you have all those three gifts. You have a gift of love. You've got the gift of adoration, and you've got the gift of humility. All those three, and many people listening to this program right now, I think, also have that realization. But did you make a New Year's resolution?
Oh, here you go again, asking your question.
Oh, no,
I'm ready to answer.
Okay, that's not fair.
You know, play pictures, I haven't so far. My New Year came upon me without even realizing it, because I was here in Brisbane. I didn't even think about it. Grandson had to have surgery, and we're so involved with all the goings on at the house that I didn't even think about making a resolution yet, but I will.
Well, you got me
I think I'm going to try to be my New Year's resolution is to try to be a better person in the way that I noticed here I've been letting things go that I normally didn't, like being in touch with people and being on top of making sure cards and messages get sent, telephone calls get done, get calls, somebody who needs to hear from me and things like that. I was trying not to be as neglectful as I've been lately.
No, not neglectful. I wouldn't say neglectful, just maybe you're too busy. That's the thing. When you've got so many things on your mind, it's awful hard to keep all balls going all at the same time. And you got a lot of things to juggle about. But the other thing, you've been reading this book, Secret. And one of the things that I noticed about Secret is that if you think a thought, it will begin a feeling, and that will begin an action. So if you're thinking of calling or writing or doing what you have to, then I'll go into a feeling that I want to do it, and then you will execute it. So that I think those three steps. So that's a good resolution, not just for you, but for me, but anybody listening right here. Well, I really.
It's about being positive also, and thinking in a positive and a grateful way. And that makes you for the positive way, because if you make positive thoughts and grateful thoughts, that's what goes out like a prayer, and that's what makes it turn into reality.
And those grateful thoughts draw from the universe similar grateful thoughts. Like recently I had a thought, I was thinking, I know someone's going to call. And that really went out there into the universe, and I was amazed that within a very few minutes that call came in. So having a grateful, positive thoughts will generate not only the feeling and action, but it would draw grateful thoughts. It would also draw out of the universe thankful thoughts. So speaking of thankful, any other questions for me?
I don't think so. Do you have anything else to say about yesterday's guest, about your sermon?
Yeah, I got.
That was always so good.
When I said Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, I was thinking that in today's world, where people really don't take the time to tell each other how much they love each other, and it'd be a good resolution where people would waste time with each other, and we're so busy today, and just try to keep our bills going and all the other things that we forget our priorities, and sometimes our work becomes our main concern, but we need to waste time. But we have to have the time. We need to make the opportunity to waste time. So I was
I do have one quick question for you. What's your New Year's resolution?
what's my New Year's resolution?
Did you
Yeah,
make one?
yeah, I did. If I do, I have to start crying.
Oh, sorry.
Do I really have to tell you?
No.
No, you don't.
Okay. Well.
I told you mine.
Okay, so I got another quick New Year's resolution. To love someone more today than yesterday, less today than tomorrow. To love God more today than yesterday, less today than tomorrow. And to love God unconditionally and unselfishly, and that's my job.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay?
Very nice. Very nice.
Well, thanks for.
Okay, Mother.
God bless you. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And said
And Happy New Year to the crew there. Susan and Bill and.
right. And Richard, well, make sure you give Oliver a big hug.
I will.
Okay. We'll see you soon. Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, we didn't go very far. That came from Texas. That call came from Texas. That was a long distance call. That's the longest distance call we ever had. And if you just tuned in, this is Father Edmund Downey from the Father Edmund Downey Good News Fund. And by the way, I want to thank a lot of people who helped this year. 2 people. We have one person who's lost their home, or was losing their home, foreclosure. And we helped them, and we helped them save their home. And there's someone else also who is trying to adopt a child, and the Father and Dolly Good News Fund is trying to help them. And also we're trying to help so many people who don't have food. So there's a lot of people, even in Berlin, East Berlin, the Britain, surrounding area, really don't have enough food. So we're asking you if you could pray for these people. And my question to you, just called up, I'm giving away gift certificates. What you ask to you, what you ask of me, my gift to you is what you ask of me. And I sign it, Father Ed and the Dominic. So give me a call if you can. Take your time, but call fast. You're on the air, Father Ed.
Hi, Father Ed.
Yes.
How you doing?
Where are you calling from?
You're good.
Oh, what's on your mind?
Huh?
What's on your mind?
I've been believing in God for like 25 years. I went to Teen Challenge and everything else. And I know I lived on Church Street. And I know John, that lives next door to me. And what I was going to say is, how would you go about getting your kids back there, like 30 years old and stuff? I haven't seen them in like 8 years. I've been praying for them and trying to see them and everything else. I just want to get back with them. I love them so much. I don't know, after the divorce, if I didn't believe in God, it gets back to the good. I don't know, I'm still stepping out with the Lord.
Question, do you have any contact with your ex-wife?
No,
Where does she live?
she lives in East Hartford.
Oh, she's in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Where are your 3 kids?
My 2 kids.
Your two?
One got a house in Manchester, and my son lives with my ex-wife.
How old are they?
30 and 29.
Are they married?
No,
And you haven't seen them in 8 years?
I have 8 years since my father died.
Was there an alcohol problem in the family?
Yeah,
Did you have an alcohol problem?
yeah, that's why I went to Teen Challenge, but I haven't drank in 20 years.
And how long have you been divorced?
At least 15 years.
15
More
years.
than that.
What would you say was the cause for the divorce?
Me partying and going out and working too much. I was never home. I was always, I was a workaholic.
Okay, and
But I always had time for church with them and made time for them.
so what? Your job became your God then,
Yeah.
and you worshiped your job, and you got a lot more satisfaction from your work than you did from your family and your wife then, huh?
Yeah.
And that's where you got your satisfaction. That's where you spent the most time. And you haven't talked to them in 8 years?
8 years.
Well, have you sent them
I sent them cards, I sent them everything,
you sent did you ever write a letter of apology?
Yeah.
I just had a man in a similar situation, and he was he's an alcoholic, and he sobered up, and he had no contact with his wife. I said, why don't you send him, and his kids hate him because of the drinking. And I said, why don't you, and his sisters also hate him because of drinking. I said, why don't you send a letter to your wife, and in all humility, write and just write what comes out of your heart. I'm going to tell you what to write, but write comes what out of your heart. And I said it to every one of them, and all I could do is reject them. Your job is to keep trying and keep praying.
You better believe that. Keep up praying.
And are you working now or are you retired?
No, I got in a car accident. I got steel rods in my back.
Okay, so
I'm on disability.
you're on disability now. Okay, well, I'd keep sending cards and writing to them, and ask them to pray for you. Not just that you pray for them, but ask them to pray for you. Do they know that you've had a car accident? Was that due to alcohol?
No.
No, it wasn't. Okay, well, I want you, I find, they'll hang up on you if you write a letter, all they can do is throw the letter away. Okay?
Okay.
Thanks.
God bless you.
Bye-bye. All right, maybe some of you have the similar experience where you had it because of alcohol, because of drugs, your family has disintegrated. You know, I have that theory, you know, you have two walls in a fireplace, both walls on both sides. You keep the fire within those two walls, and the fire is warm, romantic, and just soothing and peaceful. You knock down those two walls, and what do you have? You have a burnt house. So when you have two walls with God, loving God with your whole heart, your whole soul, and whole mind, and loving your neighbor as yourself, you keep within those two walls, and keep the family within those two walls. You're going to have peace, and I'm not saying you're not going to have problems, no, we're human, but basically you'll have a solid foundation for a family life. You knock down those two walls, and anything could happen to that family life. And you knocked it down with drugs or alcohol, whatever it may be. So what about you? If you had a similar experience, and how would you handle it? And maybe you give us some counseling of how you would handle a situation where alcohol has split up the family and made the kids bitter towards their dad and unforgiving. See, the thing is, though, those kids are not happy because you're not free if you don't forgive. There's got to be justice, yes, but there also has to be forgiveness. Like we hear about different situations where people are killed by someone and they want justice, but there's no forgiveness. Unless there's forgiveness, there's never real peace, not only within the family, but within yourself. You stay bitter all your life. And so these children of his, if they continue to hate their father like that, they are suffering more than he is. Because what they're doing is really punishing themselves, thinking that they're punishing their father. Because what you do to least your brethren, you do to God. You do to yourself. Because what I do to you, I'm doing to myself. If I love you, I'm loving myself. Yes, if you turn around and hold that grudge, he's not aware of it as much as you are. And that destroys you. Unless you let go and forgive, then you're free. If you don't let go, then if you don't let go and forgive, you'll never be free. And every time you think of that, you need to let go. You just don't let go once and forgive once, because every time your thought comes here, that thought can end up being a bad thought with bad feelings, or that thought can be an occasion for you to pray for the gift of forgiveness at that moment. You just don't forgive once and walk away. God does that. But we just don't forgive once. We have to forgive every time we think of that. So when I think about thinking, and then the feeling comes back. So when you think of that person that hurt you, either you're going to have a bitter feeling, or you can have a positive feeling and turn it into a positive action of praying for that person and forgiving that person. But unfortunately, his story is not a unique story. I think his story is a common story. There's so much anger in family life today, and nobody's happy because nobody has forgiven. But unless you forgive, you'll never be happy. You'll never be free. All right, if you just tuned in, this is Father Edna Donnelly, and we have this gift. My gift to you is what you asked of me. What is your question for me? Give me a call, and I'd love to try to answer. I'll try to give. Like I told a story about Victoria. She asked me, she wanted me to live long enough so I could teach her children. She was only 8 years old. And then she asked for an American girl. And I didn't realize American girls are very expensive. Yeah, all American girls are expensive. Not just dolls, but all are very, very expensive. But this was a doll. This wasn't a human being. And I'm not talking about Grace. I'm not talking about anybody in particular. I'm just talking about somebody who's saying, yes, American girls are very expensive. But it's a doll. And one of the parishioners I told one of the parishioners, she said, oh, my daughter's got a doll, and she doesn't play with it anymore because she's 21. I didn't realize American girls were that old. So she gave it to me, I gave it to Victoria, and you think she got $1 million. She was so grateful. So whatever you ask of me, I will give to you. So just call us and ask. Now there's one topic, it's 8:15 now. There's one thing I'd like to talk about. It's off the subject of my gift to you. This is a gift. Most women are unaware of the pill risks a new poll finds. The use of contraceptives. You know, mothers put their kids on contraceptives very early, which gives them the freedom to sin with fornication. It seems to be all right, but actually isn't. That's a sin. But the study now shows that there's a connection between the pill and cancer. You know, we know about blood clots and strokes and all that. But you know, when you have a cigarette advertisement, well, you don't have them now, but if you buy a pack of cigarettes, on a box it'll say the possibility of cancer from smoking. And that's fine. But why don't they have on the contraceptive paper, or whatever it is, the warning, possible cancer from this contraceptive? In justice, that should be put on every contraceptive, just like you put on every cigarette pack, that the possibility of cancer. Now, that's not my humble opinion. I don't have humble opinions. They're all proud opinions. I just want to have you listen to this. Despite undisputed scientific evidence that has been available for years, most American women are unaware oral contraceptives increase a woman's risk for breast cancer and other illnesses, according to a new poll. A female breast cancer surgeon, a nurse and moral theologian are among those calling on Congress to ensure that women are warned of the risks, perhaps through the same sort of campaign attached to cigarette use and evidence that it increases the risk of cancer. When women are aware of the risk, it does change their behavior, said Dr. Angela LaFranchi, a surgeon and co-director of breast care program in the Steeplechase Center in New Jersey. Now, the Food and Drug Administration approved the first oral contraceptive in 1960, and today birth control pills are used by an estimated 12 million American women. I think it's a lot higher than that. But I'm not saying we want to agree with it or not agree, but I think the warning should be there. There are other forms of birth control, natural family planning, the symptom metric, the Billings method, on abstinence. And there are a lot of ways besides contraceptives. And what I'm concerned about, it's not fair if people do not have all the knowledge. when people come in to get married, want to get married, and I usually tell them you're not my type. But when they come in to get married, we talk about birth control. And I tell them I've been practicing birth control for 77 years. I don't have any children. So when we talk about birth control, we've got to talk about the different methods. Now what I want, before I make a decision, I want to make sure you know all the types of birth control. And the pill is a quick fix, but it's not necessarily a good fix. There's also side effects. There's always side effects. Now we've been doing this since 1960, and teenagers have been using them, and they grow into young adults. And if you go to the hospital, I'm not saying all breast cancer caused by the pill, no. But I do feel that some breast cancer is caused by the pill. I always see stress on a woman's life. When I walk in there and I find out that they've had breast cancer operation, I say, where's the stress in your life? Is it money? Is it your family? Is it your job? Is it your in-laws, their outlaws? Is it the atmosphere? Where's your stress? Is it financial? And I always find stress, but doctors say the stress isn't the cause, because other people have stress and don't get cancer, but other people don't have the same physical makeup as the person who has cancer. But I'm no doctor, but all I want is for the truth to be given, not to hide the truth. Now when you go on an advertisement on television, they'll take this type of pill, but there's all these side effects. And that's an honor, that just scares the heaven into me when I look at all the side effects. And all I want is, when they advertise contraceptives on television or in the pharmacy, wherever it is, if they would put the label on, the possibility of cancer there. I'm not saying everybody gets cancer from the pill, but the evidence is very obvious that cancer does occur in some cases because of the use of contraceptives. And when women find out that there may be a possibility of cancer from a contraceptive, they end up looking at it in a little different way, and their attitude changes. You know, the quick fix is not the best fix. If that were true, then we wouldn't have so many people hooked on drugs today. They give a drug, and then what happens? They get hooked on the drug, and the so-called answer becomes the problem. Well, you agree with that or disagree? Give me a call at, where are we? You know where you are. You've got the phone number, 860-321-7408. You've only got about 6 minutes left to the program, so if you got a question for me, give me a call. What did you get for Christmas? What would you want from me for Christmas? What gift would you want? And what's your question for me? I'd love to hear from you. And we talked about the three kings, and we talked about Christmas too. And I say that the gifts that you receive usually tell us something about you. I received 4 sweaters this year. And after 51 years, I've received over 150 sweaters. Either they see me as a very warm person, or they see me as a very cold person, so they try to warm me up. So that's one thing. But I also get a lot of candy, chocolate candy, because they know I'm addicted to chocolate candy. That's just a hint, that's all. Just a little hint to you. If you ever want my telephone and address, I'll give it to you. But seriously, a gift that you receive tells you something about you. And what kind of gifts did you receive? And it didn't say anything about you. Or do people just go shopping and buy anything just to cover the bases? But do you ever give thought to the gifts you give? Do you ever give thought to the gifts you receive? That they say something about you? Give me a call if you can. I'd love to hear from you. But I think not most people, I can't judge people. Many people just buy gifts. They buy something that they like, or they buy something that they feel the person will like. But will it say something about the person? Like if you give somebody a prayer book, it says, well, that person's a prayerful person. If you give somebody a rosary, you're telling that person that I see that you have a love for Mary. If you give the person the business magazine, you see that person's interested in business. But what a gift identified who you are. And I give you an example of my own. The chalice that I received, that person identified me as a priest. and I always get sweaters. I used to have an aunt. She passed away. She gave me the same gift for 35 years, black socks. 35 years I got black socks. I got enough socks that I could probably clothe half the United States. She'd always give me a black sock. I said, well, Aunt Mary, how about a blue sock? How about pink socks? Yellow socks? How about always black socks? You should wear black socks, Father. So she had me all red. I still have them. After 35 years, you can't use up all 35 socks. I try to sell them, but nobody wants them because they're black. But they're also useful. Okay, I want to read a couple things to you before we close. But if you call, I'd rather listen to you than read to you. So give me a call right before we leave. Here's a few thoughts that I have for you. Gratitude is a powerful process for shifting your energy and bringing more of what you want into your life. Be grateful for what you already have, and you will attract more good things. Are you a grateful person? And does that attract more good things? Right here, Father Ed.
Hi, Father Ed. You know what I would like to have you talk to us about? And that's about the thoughts that we have every single day, and how many that we have, and how we should start the New Year's off with good thoughts. And I believe that you talked about that on the other day at Mass. Could you talk about that again now?
Sure. Okay, thank you. And what we mentioned it before, there's like just I talked about gratitude. Gratitude is a powerful process for shifting your energy and bringing more of what